that's all.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order on May 20th at approximately 7:04. Can we review and approve the minutes from the previous meeting, or is that something we want to skip over and wait for,
Can we circle back?
circle back to that? Fair enough. We have a new business owner, I guess, in town.
Yes, we do.
Edie, do you want to come up to the microphone, please?
Have a seat at the chair.
Hi, Edie.
Hi, everybody. I think we met when I got my business permit, right? My certificate.
So, Edie's asked to come before the commission here in order to introduce herself and introduce her business. So you have the floor.
My name is Edie Blewett, and I am the owner of Fleet Street Barbering Company. I just opened inside of the Grafton Inn a week ago. I had my first very successful week, actually, this week, and I love the location. There's a lot of foot traffic there. It really classes up the place. I think Jay Hunter would agree. I've turned his storage room into a fine little barbershop. I really almost done with the build out. I have a couple little things to do, but there is some question about signage. As you know, the Grafton Inn has many entrances, and I need also a barber pole on the outside of the building. I got my my license from the board, the Barber Board, Massachusetts Barber Board, granted to me. It was not provisional. They gave it to me, but their only comment was that I needed a barber pole outside. It's actually a part of the requirements for the licensing, the licensor. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's one of the items that they consider. So she gave it to me despite the fact that I did not have one on the outside of the building. So I don't know, I noticed there is not another barbershop in the town common, and I don't know what the board might feel about that, and I wanted to kind of bring it up before you guys to see
Can I hand this to you?
where we're at with
Oh,
it.
yeah. Yeah. So let me introduce myself. I'm Bob Berger. I'm the Grafton Building Inspector.
Hi, Bob.
Hi. And you have to come to the building department and apply for a sign permit.
Okay,
And then there's certain rules and regulations on what you can have for the size of the sign.
Right.
It goes by 1.25 for every lineal feet of store frontage that you have. But we can work on that together. And
Okay.
the pole sign, that mounts on the outside, it's all just a formality. That is no problem.
okay.
And the outside sign, absolutely no problem.
Okay,
So
and
you're gonna get some sort of dimensional requirement that you can have.
Okay.
And then you figure out what you want to put inside that box.
Great. I have my idea is simple and tasteful, and it follows the, what's already sort of in the square in terms of the way it looks, it's aesthetic. There is some provision about 3D or signage, and my pole is black and white. It's not red and blue and white, so it's a little more low-key than the average barber pole.
The only other thing that I think that we might have to do is bring you to the historic district with your design, because they have to approve your design.
Okay.
Because
so-
you're part of the common.
Okay. So
Right.
I have to go to the,
Come to me first,
to you first in the,
and then we'll work through all the pieces together.
okay, and I should bring the mock-up of what I intend, and
Yeah.
you can look at it.
Yeah.
And then do I have to pay a fee
Not yet, at the end.
at the end?
At the end.
Okay. So first you, and then the historical commission.
Yeah, will come to me, and then we'll bring it off to the historic commission,
Okay, and I'm sorry, what was the name of your office?
the building department.
The building department. And is that here in this building?
It is, on the first floor.
Okay, and you keep regular office hours?
We do. There's somebody there between 8:30 and 4:30, but why don't you try to make it this Thursday sometime, if you can?
You
I'm going to
know-
be out of the office Tuesday, Wednesday. I'll be back in Thursday, then I'm back out Friday.
What about the following week, like on Monday or Tuesday?
Monday's a holiday.
It is. What about Tuesday? I say that because I keep regular business hours on Thursday that are quite long. And I can close in the middle of the day,
No,
but
you don't want to do that.
I would prefer not. And there's only me there for now.
Sure.
So, not this Tuesday, but the following.
28th.
The 28th.
Sure.
Do you have a time preference?
How about 11 o'clock?
11 a.m. I'll be there.
Okay.
Edie, is there anything else we could do for you?
No, sir, there's not. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to hear me out today. I'm really excited to
We're
have
here
the
to
barber shop.
support you, so.
Absolutely.
We welcome you to Grafton, and we welcome your business into town.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's going to be very successful.
That's awesome.
We'll be in
excited.
touch too. We do a Shop Grafton campaign around the holidays, so we'll make sure that you're a part of that as well.
Absolutely, I'd love to be. So are you guys basically saying I don't need to stay here any longer?
You're good.
You can
Okay.
listen to our signed bylaw
I
discussion.
think I
if
might
you
do that
want.
if that's okay.
Good, you
I
bet.
felt like you were dismissing me, like,
No,
get out.
I didn't mean to
I want
do
you to go
that.
first.
I didn't want to give you that impression.
Okay.
Is there any other questions that you have?
hot seat.
I didn't come prepared for questions because I didn't realize I would be introducing myself. I thought I would just be listening to the discussion about the signs. So I'm sorry I don't have any for you, but if I think of some, I'll write them down for next time. I won't interrupt you.
Fair enough.
Welcome.
I know you have a lot to do, so
Thank you.
thanks so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
And she's a dog lover, just so you all know too.
I am covered in fur. Is that what you see? I have a white dog, so.
All right, so I guess we're going to go on to the
Minutes.
minutes. Fair enough, John?
Please review the minutes. This is really summarizing the last time we had the business owners here. And I want to ensure that everything's accurate and correct. If there's something that's incorrect, please let me know.
So which date is that?
You were not here for that
I was just
meeting.
gonna say, I
you
think
were-
that's
that
the
was
one
the
I
meeting you
missed, that's
missed,
what I was
right.
double checking.
Yes.
You know, John, what I'd like to do, if it's possible, could we table these minutes until next meeting in order to give us the appropriate time to go through them and match them up to my notes?
Absolutely.
Would that be all right, guys?
Yes.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Thank you, though, having them ready. I love this. This is exactly what I was looking for, because I have all these notes, and then it's not going to do us any good unless we have a summary. Thank you.
All right.
Moving right along.
Moving right along. Thanks, John. All right, so we left off last meeting at the temporary and portable signs paragraph. Looks like page 11 of 19. 9 in the, I have a page 9.
Page 9, hammer to 9.
4.4.2.3, temporary and portable signs. We have some current business owners here represented. We have a new business owner represented as well, so. Let's go by, I guess, by paragraph. Any issues with the first paragraph?
Where are you?
Yeah, what
Dennis?
page?
Right here, page
You're right here.
Yep.
Okay.
4.4.2.3.
Oh, yep.
Does that include like sandwich boards? Those are not permitted?
Correct.
Yes,
That's
that's exactly what they're referring to.
And flags, right?
Those feather flag things and the sandwich boards? That's
Yeah,
good to
so,
know.
Well, currently, it says that the only ones that are permitted are for nonprofit organizations. Actually, the ones permitted are on page 2, if you go back to page 2 on the temporary signs.
I do notice there are signs in the common quite often, paper signs.
For
Right,
nonprofits,
but-
it's usually.
Right, so if you go back,
for
to page
social-
2 and you look at temporary signs, those are the only temporary signs that are allowed currently in the town of Grafton.
but there is, as a current business owner, this is something I am concerned with, having sandwich board signs at your business and
Yeah.
flags. Mine happens to say antiques on it. Some just say open, the red, white, and blue. So this is something that I think,
I was just gonna get to that.
you go ahead.
I disagree with that whole first paragraph.
Okay, I would agree with you.
Wait a minute. Hold on. If I may be so bold, which sometimes I am.
That's why you're here.
You can't disagree with the whole paragraph because it's really talking,
I meant the whole, well, it's actually a paragraph, right?
yeah, you're talking 4423.
Right.
Right. 4423 is really talking about free speech. You know, it's the United Constitution. It's a right to display some sort of sign. It's very hard to get into this paragraph without recognizing that. what I think you should really be concentrating on is, this is all well and good, but I think you're talking about not rewriting that, but adopting something like this
I mean, on a temporary sign one.
on temporary signs, because that's why I came back, not to go through line by line, because this is actually written pretty good. And it's been here for 30, 40 years. But it's not giving any relief for the business owners.
Right.
Right.
This this bylaw that I put down, paper and pen, in 2012, I think is a good right, but we have a problem if we're gonna try to get it through town meeting, because again, like I said before, with the Koopman's Lumber or a strip mall, in the planning board, we were getting a lot of feedback, well, you got 10 businesses there, so you're allowed to have 10
Right.
signs. And that's where it all fell apart. I don't agree. Now, this is just my opinion. I wrote it and I tried to get the best I could. I don't agree with an A-frame sign that just says, we sell hamburgers or we sell Coca-Cola. I do agree with this week, the special is, and then you get your A-frame sign to promote some sort of commodity for some sort of length of time. That's what this is about, and I really think that that's what this group should be focusing on, is not trying to rewrite line by line, but actually insert a new amendment to the bylaw.
If I may, Mr. Chairman?
I don't have a copy of yours.
You should, I gave
let me-
you
When I said I
10.
objected to the whole paragraph,
Is it just-
basically what I objected to is the premise that says all temporary and portable signs are prohibited in the town of Grafton. I don't agree with that,
Right,
because that's what it says. Unless you're a nonprofit organization.
right, and that's why,
Okay, I just want to get, I
Unless
just
you
want to
can-
clear that air.
So I
That's
think
I
what
meant.
Bob is saying, if we look at what he's proposing, you can probably insert some language that say, except for,
well, we
you can
can,
reference this if this gets adopted.
absolutely.
What I'm going to do is, I'd like to take a pause so I can photocopy them and pass them out.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah, and you need one for each of the audience.
Yes.
Bob, where would you insert that? Back on page number 2, back on
Well,
the
you know,
definition of temporary
Joe
signs?
and Ian Morgan, they took this apart and they put it back together.
Okay.
Neat.
But would it go back onto page 2 under the definition of temporary sign?
I would definitely,
Move it
no, I
down.
would go back to 4.4, I would insert it under temporary and portable signs.
Okay, all right.
Now, my letters are all wrong.
We'd
because
have to
this
change
was-
the, we'd have
this
to
was
change the definition
2012.
of a temporary sign on page 2.
Well, no, except as specifically permitted by this bylaw. There would be language we'd have to put that
You
would,
have to wordsmith it, right?
correct.
Right.
Yeah, but that's where it's being proposed to go under. is-
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna stay on 4.4.23 and hold tight for Bob's draft of a new proposal. Then I guess you drafted it back in
2000, I
2012.
started in 2011, and then it finally got a look at in 2012.
And what happened in 2012?
It got in front of the planning board, and
It died.
it died because of that one problem.
Okay,
What-
so
Sandwich
now
board,
it's
12 of them
2019,
down.
we're gonna unearth
Right.
it.
Well, I'd like to.
Okay,
Because, you know, my problem is, it's your neighbor that gives me that snowball in July and says, you have a sign, and I don't like that sign. And now I have to enforce something.
Right.
And if we can all get on the same page.
Yep, I like
But
it.
you gotta remember, we have to think that we're gonna go in front of town meeting, and we have to get the supporters of 2/3 of the people that are sitting in the audience. So we can't, you can't go for the moon and expect to grab the whole moon. You've got to think of what is reasonable, because some people just don't like signs and they just think it's all sign pollution. And the people that drive in and out of Worcester are the ones that see it all the time, because Worcester's got a terrible problem with signs. Every corner, you've got A-frame, A-frame, A-frame. And that's what the people are afraid of.
All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a temporary hold on that particular paragraph and wait for Bob's draft. And then what we'll look at is 4.4.2.4, moving signs. Open for thoughts and conversation.
I think it's think we spent a lot of time on this when we got into number 4. I think number 1 is good. I mean, do we all want these streamers and these spinners and these revolving beacon and searchlights?
Is that like
I
the
remember
giant
it's-
thing that goes like this in the wind?
It can be.
I think Koopman's had one once and scared the hell out of me, so.
Oh,
can
Peralt's
be.
used to have one of those, it gave me the
It
creeps.
was the Verizon
But when I
thing.
was a kid, we used to think that searchlights were cool. But
Yeah.
I'm going back a lot of years.
Yeah, it's like Radio Shack with a spinny light and the.
Right.
Yeah,
And they're distracting.
yeah.
So I don't have a problem with number 1. I don't know if I should be talking as much as I
No,
am.
it's okay. Gentlemen, or anybody else in the
Are
the
the
audience?
flags that Swords and Scoops have now considered those?
Big ice cream flag, is that what?
Those are called,
Just a half of.
those are called shark fins. And
Thanks.
Basically a
They-
thin flag.
they could be. They could be, but then you'd want to try to say somehow that that's permissible. This is just taking anything that moves, spinners, and it's throwing it all in one category. Somehow, if you wanted to have, Trex has the shark fins too. You also have some car dealerships that could have those shark fins. You got to think of what you want, or what's going to be acceptable.
Yeah, for question to the audience.
Oh, and you
Question?
gotta,
Go
you
ahead,
gotta
I'm
come up
sorry.
to the speaker.
Yeah, can you come up to the
Ma'am,
microphone?
can you come up?
You just gotta come up to the stand and, so we can hear you. I'm sorry, so the audience can hear you.
Right here, right, sit down.
At the chair.
Have a seat.
There?
Yep.
One
It's the
of
only
the,
mic that works.
two things. One of the challenges we have is this is being recorded, so we have to be audible so the people at home can hear and hear what you're saying. And two, I just want to state for the record again, we need to reach a balance where the residents of the town are going to be happy and the business owners of the town are going to be happy. Because no matter what we decide, it goes before the planning board and then goes up to a town meeting for a vote where we need 67% approval.
Already
So
covered
just-
that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I already covered that.
Yeah.
oh, thank you.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Hi.
I had a question.
Sure.
About, I don't know if it's on this list or not, but is there such a thing where you could project through like a laser type of small device where it would be projecting onto an existing sign in the background? So there's an
Christmas
existing,
time.
there's an existing sign there, but you would just project the, let's say, the name of the business onto
A whiteboard or something.
onto something there. I just want to know if that's something that's a possibility.
That's a sign.
Just sign.
That's a sign. It has to meet the bulk
criteria
bulk
with the
requirements
bylaws,
of
right.
Yeah.
what we have right now.
And I'm going to interrupt just for a second, just for, as a point of protocol, just state your name and address.
Thanks, Irene.
Oh, it's Marcella Regal, and it's 179 Main Street,
Okay.
South Grafton, Mass.
Welcome. So that falls under the bylaws of the sign,
Of the sign.
right?
So what does that mean? Does that mean it's okay or not okay? I don't understand.
So if it's on the side of your building and it's 8 feet by 8 feet,
Well, let's say it's like the main sign. So right now, I'm having issues. I have business in Grafton.
I can answer your question.
Okay,
It's not allowed.
it's not allowed.
It's not allowed.
So you couldn't project it onto that big sign?
No.
Not
You
possible.
no, you still need a relief from the planning board because you're over your bulk requirement right now.
So even though it's over, but it's not going up or down, if it was just reflecting, how could it be
It's a sign.
considered a sign if it's reflecting?
Under the
not a
definition of the
physical
sign is
material.
anything that brings attention to. And that's bringing attention to. So that's considered a sign.
That's not possible.
It is possible if you get relief through the planning board through a special permit.
And that's a different board.
Right, because you're over the bulk requirement you're allowed to have for signage.
That's back to where we did before.
It's back to where you were before. Yep.
it's interesting how technology changes though, and
Sure.
that's something to,
So I'm curious, because as she had mentioned, the lights that people use on their houses
Summary
for
of the
Christmas time.
situation.
It's
that show
something
the
like that.
stars and
It's
stuff.
something like
Is
that.
that what you have, or you?
No,
you're
I mean, I
trying to
don't
get?
have it. I don't know if it can be, I don't even know if there's anybody doing it. Someone suggested it, like, hey, maybe you can If you cannot actually get a sign onto that board, maybe you can just get a reflection through some type of projection, which would just project it on the sign, because it's literally not considered, it's not a physical sign that you have to make. It's not put onto the building. It's not like you have to make the building higher or taller to fit it on. You're just projecting something
Is that only at
onto
night
it.
too?
Well,
I don't
You would have
can
to-
you explain the big pictures, what's happening? Because some of the committee members don't understand the situation that you're
What's your
encountering.
current sign?
Yeah.
So, I've been in Grafton for, many years, 14 years, whatever. And I've had my own business on the other side of Grafton, which was on Main Street, for 7.5 years. So now I had to move because my building was sold. So I ended up finding a space over on 80 Worcester Street. So I had to move quickly. I didn't have a chance to find any place to go. It was like literally in 2 weeks, a month, I had to move my business. So I wanted to stay in Grafton, I didn't want to move anywhere else, and the opportunity was at 80 Worcester Street. So I had to take it. But there was a signage problem. That big sign that he has technically fits, well, it's supposed to fit 10 businesses, which are in there. So there's the ones at the bottom and there's the ones inside. Not everyone needs a sign. A few people don't. But the type of business I have, I need a sign. So how he has it set up, he only has it for 6 businesses out of 10. And what he did is he wasn't thinking ahead, and he doubled up on 2 of the people's spaces, I guess, for some reason, long ago. So now there's 6 businesses on there, but there's 10 businesses that don't have room for a sign. So he can't take those people back, but he can't offer everyone a sign. And of course, I moved there and I was like, can I get a sign there? Can I have a sign there like everyone else? And he says, no. I said, why not? You know, and he said that because this one already took it here and there's not enough room. I said, but you don't have enough room on the sign for all your businesses. But that's when we had a hearing, because I came for a hearing, but unfortunately I missed it by accident because I didn't know when I had moved over there that zip code actually changes from 0159 to 01536. No one told me that. So
So you didn't
my
get
mail got returned and all this other stuff, and I missed the hearing. So anyway, that was not good. But that didn't change the decision of the hearing that they rejected my idea, because my idea was, okay, since I can't get it on all the strips or somewhere on the strip, or even half of the strip, how about if I do it on the base, which is a big, huge base on the bottom and has the number 80 right there. I said, okay, maybe I can just put like a 3x2 sign underneath. But that did not pass. That was my idea to solve the problem because I couldn't figure out what to do. So that didn't pass. The landlord doesn't want to do anything. I'm still at impasse, losing business every day by the traffic is going by and I have no way to promote myself. So we thought of an idea of projecting onto the sign somehow. Someone said, oh, maybe you can do a laser thing. It's not technically a sign, but maybe you can project a light that says, my business name onto that somewhere. And technically, it won't be a sign that you have to put on or anything. And I said, I don't know. I don't know if that's even possible.
In summary, because the landlord didn't there's a big pylon in front of the building, 80 Worcester Street. Because the building owner didn't allocate space for all the businesses, he's saying the pylon's full, she's in the building, where does she put her sign? That's the problem she's
And
encountering.
I can't put any A signs, I can't put any posters, I can't do anything. So I'm just losing business constantly.
So
Every
let me
day.
ask, if the decision comes that you are able to have an A-frame sign down the road, would that be?
Well, like I said
That's like-
before, the A-frame sign is to promote commodity, a sale. It's not to promote cats are here or dogs are here, right? It can't be Eat at Joe's.
It's like
But it
this
is a sa-
band is
it
this
is-
week, and next week it's a different band, because that's a changing,
Right, that's changing.
that's changing.
But
It's
we're-
not-
Maybe,
We're-
Right.
maybe. I don't know about bands. I don't know about that.
But this is not a
That's-
change in the
That
sign.
may not work. I'm not sure. I'd really have to give it a lot of thought. You're just in a bad situation because
Yeah.
this is between you and your landlord. He's not giving you what rightfully should have been yours when you signed your lease.
I know, but he did tell me he did not have, he says, I didn't know until the last minute we were there. He's like, no, you can't, I thought I could get that spot there on the side of the building that was empty, and I thought I could get the empty spot on the thing that was empty. He's like, oh, no, that's for the guy who just moved in. I was like, you're kidding me. Which I didn't know, like, you know.
Yep.
And
I know.
so,
I'm curious, what is your business?
I do massage and hair and holistic healing. So,
Are there front windows?
there is one front window there, but it's not enough because the whole building is set back, and you know how people drive on
Right.
Worcester Street, they're just going straight, so they're not gonna look left or right and look up or back. They're gonna see the sign that's the biggest one on the side of the road, the closest to the road. And I can't put anything there. So it's frustrating. You know, and I have a great location. It's better than what I had before. I was like, wow, this is a great opportunity. Actually, it was a good move because my building got sold. I actually got a better location, but now nobody knows where I am.
Excuse me. Where exactly are you? I'm not,
I'm right across from Grafton Liquors, so where Guys and Gals is. You know, Guys and Gals?
yeah, okay.
I'm right upstairs.
Used to be
on the
O'Malley's Chiropractic, is that correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Tom,
The existing
that's your
sign,
old building, Tom?
It's my old building, yeah.
is it possible that the existing sign could be added on in some way?
I've tried everything.
Higher, or?
That's what it
maybe
needs to be done.
Something onto the side?
The
I
answer
don't-
is no.
Okay.
Well, you can do anything if you get relief.
Right, I agree. So if maybe she gets lucky, and when he put the sign up, he didn't go as big as was allowed.
No. He's over the max right now.
He's over the max right now.
He's over the max right
Okay.
now.
So then, all right, so then I guess to go back to what he had just said. Unfortunately, the onus of all this is on you. You have to take your lease and see what it says in the lease, if anything, that says you will be given signage or frontage for signage, however you want to say that.
No, we did discuss it in the beginning. He told me that I asked him, can I have that? And he told me, no, I can't have that. So that was my idea, is to put it on the base, because
If-
he said I couldn't have that. And then we tried to pass it with the hearing, but they said no.
And what was the reason for the no? Well, you weren't able to
Again,
make
it's-
that,
it's-
right?
It's the size of the sign, it's the, I
You
don't
know how they are with relief for signs in the planning board? I mean,
They didn't think it was a good location to put it below the sign, you know.
well, there's a bylaw that
No.
says between, 2.5 and 10 feet is supposed to be a peekaboo, which I don't really agree with anyways, because it doesn't block any traffic going in and out.
Right.
That's what the bylaw says.
Right.
I tried to negotiate with him
That's a tough
because the new guy who's coming in, who's taken the place of the chiropractor, is an orthodontist, and he hasn't moved in due to more stuff with the building, but anyway, that sign was already divided. The sign that he has was already divided previously by the chiropractor, and it says like the chiropractor on this side, and it says like DOT health.
Physical?
Health
Physicals.
cer-
Right.
Physicals.
So I told him, I said, why can't you get the chiropractor to have that and let me have the right side? The right side. And he's not even here yet. He's still not here. Can't you talk to him and tell him about the situation, the hearing? It didn't work out, it didn't think, and let me have that side? No, I can't do that.
Without actually going to the sign and looking at it, from what I know about, it's a backlit sign.
Yeah,
Right.
like there's
Okay.
two sides.
Yeah,
on-
two
on-
sides, okay.
On each side.
I would,
He's gonna show you a picture.
I would
Yeah.
dare to say,
Yeah, you show them.
if he wants to make the effort, he could, I'm from the, now I know what I'm talking about. Oh, where I'm talking, I'm sorry, no, I don't. No, I appreciate it, thank you. So,
Thanks, Edie.
it's going to, again, it's going to be a fight for you to make him spend the time and the money to just take those panels and realign the panels.
I've tried,
Yeah.
everything. He, ref-
I
Blatant
guess,
refuses.
as a whole, I think you have our sympathy, but I don't know if there's any progress that you could be making with us as the
Right.
Economic Development Commission. I don't.
yeah, I
don't
told him that
see-
they said that they would prefer that him to apply and him to come down, and they want to talk to both of us, and we could do this again in June and all this other stuff, but then they didn't have the people and didn't have all these issues about doing it later in June. And he just doesn't want, gave him other ideas to extend it, I even tried asking one of the other tenants that were in there, that there's that one empty space that he's been, it's like 5 months as long as that I've been there, and he still hasn't done anything with it. And I said, how about if you take the front and I'll take the back? Is it possible we could do that? We could share it. He doesn't want to share. Which I guess I don't blame him too. It's his, you know, he wants to have his business too. But it's because, again, it falls back on the landlord that he shouldn't have done that, the setup the way he did in the first place, but he can't take it back. Because the other business has been there for years. The accountant and the chiropractor, they were there for years, and he had doubled up on their sign a long time ago. So he can't take them back to give anyone a chance.
Well,
So-
Actually, he can, but that's up to him.
Yeah.
I think he's.
Right.
I
And he's
think
stubborn, so he's not gonna, he doesn't want to bend.
But, you know,
I-
we
I don't-
highly recommend that you sit him down and have a conversation with him, and just,
So my idea, we thought about this projecting thing. If that was something that we could do, because that wouldn't change, he wouldn't have to add on or change it or do anything. Maybe we could project it onto the base or something.
and I guess with that under the definition constitutes a sign, thus you have to abide by the bylaws, so I think that's where we're at.
That's exactly where we're
Right.
at.
Yeah.
So,
So, did,
That would be another hearing.
when you were signing your lease, did you have it reviewed by counsel, legal counsel?
No,
Yes or no?
no.
no,
No, all right, then I think maybe that would be a first step. Take the lease to someone, have them review it, and see if you have any recourse at all in some way to hold his feet to the fire and force the issue. Yeah, just to say, we talked about it, doesn't really have any legal standing, but if you have something in the lease that says you will be given signage on the pylon sign, then you have, then if it's in the lease, it's
I
in the
mean, I
lease.
tried to talk to him about it. I just said, you know, I mean, if I was a business owner, I am a business owner, if I had a building with 10 tenants in it, every tenant should have the right to have a spot on the building and a spot on the sign. I mean, you want to make your people happy to be there. You want them to stay. You want them to be there, and they should have the right to do that. That's what you sign up for. And I just, I know.
Again, I would go back and get legal counsel and take it from there.
Yeah.
In the meantime, supercharge your social media.
I know, that's all I can do.
I'm just trying to help you,
frustrated.
you know, to get around.
What's the name of the
current
business?
issue.
Marcella's Hotspot Salon.
Okay.
well, thank you,
Yeah.
And good luck.
Sorry we couldn't be of more help.
yeah.
Okay.
You
Back
guys
to,
get copies of this, the draft from Bob? Can we go through this?
Sure.
We do that now, Bob?
yeah, we were discussing moving, but we can go back.
Yep.
Four point four, special cases relief.
Well, that's where I was gonna put it. I was gonna put this under 4.4.4 and then go 4.44.1 and then start a whole new section. The numbers are wrong now, so, because this was 2012, this should probably go back under page 9. And just start continuing numbering under the page 9 for, 4423. Maybe this could be 4424.
I guess that doesn't matter. That's
I wasn't really pointing to the numbers, it was just commenting on the fact that the word special cases relief, and we were just talking with her about her situation.
Oh, yeah, well, no, she knows that. She does know that, because she's already been there, but she missed the meeting.
Okay, all right.
Inspector of Buildings, all right. So, first paragraph, nonprofit organizations.
So you still have to get a permit if you're a nonprofit.
Always. Doesn't cost you any money,
But you have to get the permit.
but you have to get the permit, because you have to meet, some sort of bulk requirement. And that's probably the same as what we have right now.
That is.
And then we get into the profit organization.
Any issues with that paragraph? Anybody? No? All right. Profit organization, we're gonna deal with, paragraph A, excuse me.
about paragraph A.
Sure.
So, under this proposal,
You're gonna have to come to the mic if you could. So- I'm
under
sorry.
the proposal in paragraph A for profit organizations, is this a situation where, for example, she could get a temporary or portable sign under these?
This is,
We gotta go through the whole thing, but to answer your question, sure, she could.
Okay.
To advertise an event, a commodity, not saying that we're open for massages, or I don't remember, I think it was massage, right? This can't take the place of a permanent sign. This is to grant relief for the profit organizations, the businesses in town, to promote some sort of ware or widget. Not themselves, but the widget.
An activity.
Yes.
Okay.
So an A-frame sign that says sidewalk sale Saturday.
Yeah.
10 to 5.
That's what, yes.
But an A-frame sign that announces,
Well, hers
Ban-
could be
well,
Swedish massage, 10% off this week.
but it doesn't say Marcella's hotspot, like
Right.
that's not gonna help her in the long run. That's an event. But so somebody, if a sandwich shop wants to put out an A-frame with their daily specials, that can be out every day, right?
No.
Okay.
No, because
Or
we're gonna get to D.
okay.
Let's go,
Well, right, so
A
there's-
through D.
So
It's
do we have
not a
any
lot of
issues with the
relief.
content of A?
There you go. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Can you give me an idea what 16 square
Well,
feet
the
is?
fact that you have to get a permit
4 by
for the
4.
A-frame is
4
the.
feet by
4 by 4, two-sided?
Yeah.
Is that an A-frame?
Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
I'm sorry, Morgan?
Well, there's a couple of things that you have to go get a permit to have an A-frame sign
Right.
for every time you have an event.
Let's go A
right.
through D, and then we'll answer after E. It's A through E. And we can always go back.
Yep. So we're on to B now, I guess. We're gonna review B, C, and then we're gonna get down to D.
But we're not gonna talk about any of them until we get to D.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
No, E.
E. Okay.
So why don't we just read them all,
Yeah.
and then we'll come back,
Yep.
okay?
And this is where we had a problem here, was B. No two or more signs shall be closer than 10 feet apart on land.
So like Coopman's Plaza, and there's 5 businesses in there, and you have 5 A-frames out, and they're too
Yeah.
close together.
Yeah,
But-
that's where we lost traction.
But that's on, if they were on Worcester Street versus on the sidewalk of the property.
No, they're not gonna be on town property. They're gonna be.
No, like up in the front by their front door, if you put A-frames out. That would be one scenario, or on Worcester Street. It's sort of
No, I don't
excessive.
think it matters. In this, it doesn't matter.
Well, when they had the issue with it, having too many out
Oh, they were talking about on the grass.
on Worcester, right. I can see that being,
Yeah.
yeah.
so to that point, the driveway that goes into the plaza and circles around the building, that's not a public road. That's their property.
Yeah, if you can see it from the street, then it's a permitted sign. If you can't see it from the street, then it's not a permitted sign. So if they put something in their back of the building where you can't see unless you're driving in there, you're already there and there's no way you can see it from the street, that's not a permitted sign. A sign you have to see from the public way.
Now, see or be able to read, for example, I can imagine that I'm driving by Coopman's Plaza,
Seeing.
and I can see that there's a sandwich board in front of Treasures.
Correct.
But I couldn't read it.
Right.
I think it's seeing it.
Okay.
That might be an age thing.
I know, I was kind of thinking that, but I think most people would be hard pressed from Worcester Street to see a sandwich
Right,
board
I
right
would
directly
agree.
in front of Treasures that said something like, red tags are 10% off this week, or whatever their usual signs say that they put in the window. And again, I'm just using that as an example, like you said, can be seen,
Differs from being
versus actually being visible that I'm gonna try to read. In other words, I wouldn't even bother trying, oh yeah, there's a
Right.
sign up there.
Yeah, I don't know where we'd go with that right now, but let's just say that
Yeah.
if you can see it from the street, not read it, it's a permitted sign.
All right, so let's try to focus as a group here to get through B, C, D, so that we can get to the conversation.
And E, and E,
And E.
yeah.
Oh,
It's
Lord.
pretty easy, but once we get through B, then C really is, if the inspector of buildings has a problem with the placement of the sign, he can tell them to move the sign.
Right.
If it's blocking traffic or somebody can't see getting out of some exit, well, basically, it has to be moved.
That's logical,
Right.
reasonable.
To me, the only thing of concern would be the 30-day limit. Just because if
Well,
somebody.
now we're on D.
Yeah, we didn't get there yet. We haven't read that one yet.
You have to put, a limit on everything. You can't just, say, you can have your sign, you pay, $50 and you get 365 days. So,
Why not?
well, because it has to be promoting a commodity. And you're promoting a ceiling.
The
You're not
fact
gonna
that
have-
we're open and
Yeah.
Commodity
visible.
change every week?
I know, it's tough. This is a tough one. It's tough.
Like, for instance, if I own a neighborhood bar, I want to advertise the special of the day, or the
I
special
don't
of
know,
the week.
I don't know how I would deal with that because
The
that's almost.
cocktail today.
Right, I don't know how I would deal with that sitting here right now. That's something that I'd have to research what other towns do that have this type of bylaw.
Yeah,
Well, that's
Because-
that's what's happening around us now, so that's relevant, I think, to
it is very relevant.
what we're,
So I'm not gonna answer that because that means Mr. Anderson wants it, $50 for the entire year. I mean, I have, the American Legion
Or-
has an
oh, yeah, the
A-frame
raffle.
sign,
the meat raffle.
the meat raffle, and they pull a permit for every single meat raffle that they do, which is maybe 10 meat raffles, but we'll never get a complaint about that sign again.
But they're nonprofit, right?
They're a nonprofit, and it's free.
Right.
So, but they apply for that permit every time they're doing a meat raffle. Because we got a complaint once and they don't want to go through that again, and it's,
Right.
So if the neighborhood bar that's not nonprofit wanted to keep that out there for 12 months, they'd have to get a permit every month at $50 a permit.
right, but then,
$600, right?
whatever the number is, but then you have to think.
It's
you
a
know,
permanent sign, it's not.
It's a permanent sign, and that's what we're trying to get away from. This is not supposed to substitute your permanent sign. It's supposed to grant relief for the business owners that are looking for it. So that's D. And
Do
we're
we
kind
want
of
to,
stuck
do we
on
want to
D.
talk about the 30 days anymore?
Okay, so we can't just go by it.
Right.
It is, because there's, whatever you end up doing, if we stay and say no A-frames, well, then you're definitely probably gonna get complaints about current ones that are out there and enforcement and, or you don't have to do anything if you choose not to enforce, but it's,
E is
and
nothing.
there's inequity right now going on around town with certain signs, so, and that was brought to your attention recently. And there's new signs that seem to be appearing, so.
I was out a couple times. Then then this group, with the help from the audience, has to come up with some other language that we can talk about. I mean, I've done the bulk of the work here, and we're stuck on D. I like D.
You like to.
Well, there's
and
two.
to
A
me-
requires you to get a permit
You
for
have
an
to have-
A-frame sign.
You have to have a permit.
Why?
Why? Because you have to regulate. If you don't have a permit, right, then anybody can put it up, and then there'll be no recourse if you're putting up the wrong size, you're keeping it up too long, whatever you're coming up with.
Well, first, are we gonna allow A-frame signs?
Well,
the
this is
question.
This allows
this is allowing it.
And then, yes, the content, and I guess is where there's
Well,
gonna have to be some.
I'm not getting into words. I'll never get into that.
Well, that's-
Of the content. It has to promote a commodity, a sale, an event.
Okay, an event, so, a band, every week, there's a different band, that's an event. I know you're shaking your head, but it's gonna,
Well,
Well, then I would say no on that, because that's a permanent sign and that's a billboard. That's a Broadway billboard, or whatever they call that marquee, right? It just happens to be an A-frame marquee. That's what
Okay.
that's what we're trying to not substitute.
To avoid.
Right,
Okay.
okay.
Two things. I think instead of trying to argue and thread the needle, let's think about what the happy medium is and dealing with promoting the businesses and also keeping residents happy that don't want the town littered with A-frame signs.
Yeah, looking at
Now,
this.
I said 30 days I thought was a bit much, but 30 days and going to 365, there's a whole lot of space in between to find what I would perceive as a happy medium. So, please, Sean.
I'm shooting from the hip here. All right, so a business such as Koopmans will say, they have the building, you have the name on the building, and you also have a sign out front where you can make changes.
You have a
So,
message board sign.
message board, so a happy medium, so to speak, would be a pylon sign with slide-out panels. You have the name on the building.
Oh, no, you're talking about another sign?
No, 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 no.
Your pylon sign?
So,
See,
no, for people who don't have a
At her-
marquee sign,
At her business, her building, 80 Worcester Street, you have a sign on the road, you have signs on the buildings, right?
You-
Correct?
Freestanding sign and a building mounted sign, yes.
Yes, okay. And what about, like, the fruit stands, for example, where they have those letters? They take the letters down and they change, like, it's grapes this time, it's tomatoes next week, so a happy medium would be to allow the street sign.
The
To have
freestanding
removable-
sign.
there's no room on it.
You modify the sign then.
Right,
But yeah,
but that's another
That's
story.
a whole nother
Separate. Yeah,
topic.
that's
another
Let's
story.
stick to
We're talking
let's
about,
stick to this.
That
How many
gave
days
us-
would you guys suggest would be good enough for you guys?
Me, it's not my business, the insurance business has nothing to do with it. It's restaurants,
Right,
it's bars, those are the ones that want the signs.
these A-frame signs,
And I
yeah.
can't really speak for them.
Well, it's interesting, we should just all get electric signs that we can all change the message
Well,
all
you
the
can't,
time.
because they're only allowed in certain,
You're in the
zoning
historical
Which-
district.
Yeah.
I'm not.
You're not in the
I'm
historical.
not in the
I'm sorry,
historic-
go ahead.
Not my building.
Why can't, I mean, a business be designated, one permanent sign in general? I don't understand why it's not possible.
Because your landlord won't let you.
No, sorry, a sign. Why cannot a business have a permanent A sign?
Right.
A-frame sign.
Everybody has
Frame
one.
sign.
Should be allowed one A-frame sign.
One A-frame.
Yeah.
bylaws say no.
Yeah.
Well, that's,
That's it.
well, that's what we're talking about,
The
so.
issue is, that's been cited, is
Too much
that we
clutter?
look at Koopmans where it's 10 businesses and a relatively small space, you'd have 10 A-frames all along.
But why do you think that? I think you jumped to assume that everyone's gonna have an A sign, and I don't think that's the case. I think
Oh, I do.
Right.
Oh.
some people might wanna put A sign, other people's don't, but why you won't need
The-
one?
Well, the challenge is not what people do, it's like, you think you write the law and somebody's gonna be, people are gonna stay within the box of reason, and then you encounter somebody who does not stay within the box of reason, so you have to be definitive as to where that box ends.
Correct.
And how about there's any exceptions for people if you can't get it that way? Is there an exception for people in my situation that don't even have any of that type of signage?
Right. I think in your particular case, I think what we need to do is get you to go to the planning board, because they're the ones with the authority. We don't have authority here.
What if it was about the building itself, like this type of building that has this many businesses or establishments in it, and this kind of zoning, maybe they can't have A-frame signs, because they're close together, and everybody would put them out on the sidewalks, and it would be very cluttered. But if it was a business like a freestanding business, an individual, that maybe they could. Is that reasonable or
Like
not?
only the property owner can have,
How is
One
the hot dog-
sign.
The hot dog stand has their A sign out there?
uh,
They're right next door, and they have it, hot dog stand, out there, right out there to promote their business.
Well,
Don't look at me.
I don't know. I
The thing
have
is
no
not
idea.
for us
they
to-
do exist, and that's why we're trying to,
Yeah.
The thing about it is, we know there's a problem, and that's why we're here, is to try and find a solution. We aren't looking to go say, this person's doing it wrong, that person's doing it wrong. We're here to find a solution.
With the business community, not necessarily, it's the businesses coming together to try to help facilitate bylaws that are acceptable to the public as well as the businesses.
So-
That's the goal.
I think,
It's not to, get down into the weeds of a sandwich board.
How
At
many,
least I don't think it is.
how many complaints has the town had in the last 30 days about the sandwich boards?
3.
wow.
And over my 20 years, 20,
So it's a
But-
current topic.
But it was brought up to it was brought to light recently, and it doesn't mean that it can't be enforced upon.
Everybody got a letter.
Right.
Well, the problem is, once it's brought to his attention,
Right, he has
by
to do
law,
something.
he has to
Right.
And
act.
we should be working on it anyways.
Right.
And to answer Mr. Anderson's question about the A-frame signs, and I'll just repeat it again, we don't want to make it like a permanent sign. I mean, we don't want to make it like Gaudette is here, or
I don't think people do
Pepperoni
that.
Express is here, right?
That's not what I'm saying, though. My saying is the restaurant can put their weekly specials out
Right.
there on a weekly basis.
And and I think that could be a problem. I think that's why it has the 30-day, because if you have it out there 365 days, then it's just a permanent sign.
It's not a temporary sign.
those-
It's not a temporary sign. And temporary, just so everybody has this in their head, under the building code, temporary is 90 days. So if you went 90 days, you would be matching the building code, which might be able to, help the business owners. That's giving, a little carrot there.
Like,
But
guess-
to do the specials every day, that's just a permanent marquee sign. Marquee sign is post office pub, where, it's just really high up there, but he puts his own letters in. That's a marquee sign. So that's what you're talking about, saying that's what you're saying A should be, or D should be.
Okay, so let's go to E.
E's nothing. E just says you have to follow the rules and regulations and pay the fee.
So when the above board granted me my license despite the fact that I didn't have signage on the outside of the building, I have actually placed a sandwich board on the sidewalk, and actually Jay told me that it was fine.
Yeah.
With a little barber pole drawing on it that says barbershop open inside. In lieu of the other options, which were things like a flashing neon barber pole inside my window,
No,
It was-
that won't work.
It was trying to be, I'm trying to say, it's trying to be tasteful, so there are businesses inside of other businesses, that, like that, for me, that was the only thing I could do. And I had to make the state happy, and I had no idea about the ban on A-frames.
Right, right.
So,
And obviously neither did Jay.
what?
Obviously neither did Jay.
Yeah, he did not, actually. So, I'm not sure, I'm not sure how many people are aware.
I think a lot of people are aware, and I think a lot of people just put their signs
They
up.
do it
Right.
anyway.
Yeah.
But I think people also want to do the right thing in some regard and not be attacked later by someone complaining about it. And then they see that another business still has their sign up.
I hear it all the time. Your sign is flashing, you have to shake. Yeah, but their sign down the street's on. Okay, as soon as I'm done here, I'll drive down there.
And I don't think that should have to happen.
I know.
So, and I think I was talking to you last time about the red, white, and blue open flag, or like flags attached to your building are technically not allowed, right?
Well, yeah, when we get back to the bylaws, I think page 10, we should get into 1. But let's finish this discussion first.
Yes, so you, Rick,
Rick,
Can you go
I
up to the
would recommend-
microphone? Mick,
Sure.
Rick, can you go? Microphone, please.
Rick Anderson, 51 Old Lipton Road. I would recommend that we go out to other towns like Grafton, look what their bylaws say pertaining to these signs, and make sure, it's much easier to have data and sell the argument to the planning board and the business community, everybody, if you have data that's comparable to other towns.
So, with that being said, I'd like to be in charge of grabbing some of our sister towns and bringing in some profit organization bylaws like Westboro's, Southborough, anyone that has a big drag like Route 9 or 146, and see what they've come up with and bring it back to this board.
And also, Westboro is a great one because they also have their Rotary Center, which is similar to our common, in that you've got some older buildings with some businesses and sidewalks.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not just the big strips, it's also, again, and that probably is considered a historic district, just like ours is.
I was their inspector for a month when they were in trouble, and I actually have their bylaws here, and they're very strict on their downtown.
Yeah.
Very strict, just like we are too. But I would like to hit maybe 3 or 4.
I recommend we look at, I would say 5.
Okay.
Would you agree with that number as a business community? So that we, I'm thinking.
Can you look at Hudson?
No, definitely not Hudson. I'll look at Hudson.
Well, they have a pretty vibrant downtown.
Okay.
There's a lot going
Well,
on there.
Seriously, you guys are doing the same thing. Let's choose the 5 towns, because depending on the towns you go to, you can have dramatically different results.
You're
So,
gonna choose the 5?
I think we're gonna choose the 5 now
do
as
it
a
right now.
Oh,
committee.
yeah, okay,
We're
good.
We're gonna hit
Yeah.
Westboro.
Yeah, that's
Westboro makes
obvious.
sense.
I think Shrewsbury.
Shrewsbury's adjacent, that makes sense.
Millbury.
Millbury.
Oh, you guys are way
Yeah, but
too
you guys,
fast.
I feel like where there are, what about Marlboro? There's a vibrant business community and
That's a
tax
city.
incentives.
That's a city. But you know what? They do have a big boardwalk.
Like where there's actual downtowns with life, I think we should,
Well, but I want something comparable. In other words, does it make sense for us to fashion bylaws that are designed for a city
Like Framingham.
with, 4 times the traffic, both vehicular and pedestrian, as our town? Which I think is
before,
much
I
more
think.
comparable to a
Sutton?
Westboro or
Somebody said Sutton.
Shrewsbury.
I don't think it's that.
Oh, and she said
Possibly,
Hudson.
and like, to me, Sutton is too rural. In other words, they're,
Yeah,
well, Millbury's, yeah.
so Millbury possibly. So again, I want towns that are similar to us that would be competitive
right.
in terms of real estate, in terms of people choosing to go there. I'm not gonna drive to Marlboro, let's say to
But
a
I'm
wellness
saying they
center
have-
when I can go right here in town.
Why do you have to, I don't understand why you have to compare competitiveness as far as.
Right.
Because we want, in other words, part of what we're looking for is,
The right surrounding little towns, Upton, Northbridge, Millbury, all the ones that just.
I see, I think that the traffic in Upton is considerably different than here in Grafton on 146.
But why you still have to discriminate?
She gotta come to the microphone.
They all have small businesses.
come on up, because we can't hear you.
We can't get you on the tape. You gotta come up and,
I've got Westboro. I have Shrewsbury. I have Millbury. I have Hudson.
Northborough.
I was just saying, I don't understand why you have to compare these other bigger towns or by what they have to offer. Why not just the surrounding towns? They still have traffic, they still have small businesses, they're still getting businesses. Why do you have to go to bigger ones?
because I think they would have more sophisticated bylaws in order to allow some of the things that we as business owners or business representatives are trying to get.
But why do you have to go more sophisticated?
Because I think a smaller rural town doesn't have that need.
They're not littered with, like, and I'll just use Hudson as an example of a downtown that's got a lot of recent investment in it. There's brew pubs, ice cream places, retail, boutiques, and people are going there and shopping. So what are some of their bylaws that allow businesses to?
But you have all these little stores in all these little towns, like.
Well,
maybe-
so we're just selecting
maybe you have some
5
better
from around
ones
the
in
region.
Westboro, better ones in Millbury, but you still have all these similar things in all these little towns. So I don't understand why you have to still.
Because we're picking 5 towns in the region.
Well,
Better.
We're just
I
gonna do
think
sampling.
what we're trying to do is, we don't have the solution. What we're trying to do is to look at other towns to see what they've come up with for their solution, so we can use that as a basis to figure out how we would like to handle the situation.
I get that,
And
but why can't you just stick with what your own town thinks and what would
'Cause
work?
that's where
Because
a
we
lot of
don't know
times
the
knowing isn't
solution, and
working.
we're going in circles. We need thoughts beyond what we're coming up
You need
with.
more people's thoughts, because there's only like 4 people here. What about the rest of the people in this town?
Well,
We're gonna look
no
at what
one
other
here.
towns do and allow in their
What
bylaws.
what I did today is I put videos on social media. I've sent out emails to everybody on the business directory, And I've asked people who have their own social media accounts to post information about the signs. I've publicized this as well as I could, so I can't do anything that we don't have more business owners here. But I've tried to get a substantial amount, because I want the business owners' opinions, because they're the ones that
Well,
should be driving the
something must be,
conversation.
Done differently still. Something must not be right to get more business owners to come and talk and speak here. So I don't understand how that's not happening.
We have a town of 18,000
Neither do
people.
we.
We just passed a municipal budget in excess of $60 million with fewer than 300 people in the room.
That was a lot of
I think
people.
that answers your question.
And that
was
was
a lot
more
of people.
people than normal.
That was a lot more than we usually have, but that answers your question.
Right. I'm just saying that somehow we need to get more people involved somehow to help make these decisions.
Believe me, they've tried.
It's-
Probably won't be right.
And this is being broadcast. This
on
is
TV
available
now.
to anybody with a television, okay, to go online. You don't have to have television, you can
I have
go
to be
online
honest with
and
you,
watch
I've lived in
this.
Grafton for 14 years. I never knew it was televised. Okay? I
Yeah.
didn't know because I didn't know. When I went to go to the hearing, I was like, that's televised? I was like, I had no idea. I honestly didn't know. I didn't even know that my zip code changes on 60, from 60 to 80. And I didn't get my notice to come to the hearing. And I told him, I said, why does Grafton have 3 post offices?
3.
Why?
No, they don't
three.
have 2, they have 3.
We have three.
Yes. Why do they have 3? Why isn't there just one?
History,
Like Shrewsbury.
history.
And then we wouldn't have all these, we wouldn't have all these problems with the mail going here and the post office is upset and they're saying it goes to the town hall and the town hall's going here and I'm like, this is ridiculous.
All right.
Welcome to Grafton.
Bob, do you want to go into 5 towns?
We appreciate
Five towns we have.
your thoughts and your insight, and I guess as an Economic Development Commission, we are trying to get the feedback from our local business people, as well as probably emulate and take best practices from other towns. And I think that's what the goal of the group is to do. As we think our bylaws right now don't serve the business community well, we think that we want to get other insight, other factors from other towns in order to better them.
Right, no, I get it, because most people, most research, they compare to get their analytics.
Right.
So I'm not saying, I was just
No,
wondering.
I know,
How,
yeah,
you know.
I get it. And to a fact, I guess, all of us 5 are volunteers.
Right,
So, it's a committee that's trying to progress or try to promote the businesses within the town. And I think we're all trying to do the same thing here, and we're all, seem to be on the same page. So I guess what we'll do is we'll get 5 towns, because I don't want to get overwhelmed with
right, too much.
all of this information, because to be honest with you, this is overwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
But I have a question, so, I mean, this has been going on for a long time, and,
It's been going on for 3 months.
oh, so 3 months, you've never gone over these bylaws ever before?
No,
Why?
No, our group. just
our
started
group,
doing
this
it.
group,
Oh, so this group is the first time you've gone over the bylaws, so.
second meeting.
So what about the prior information from all these years before? This town has
I
been
have
here
no
and all that
idea.
It
stuff.
was not an issue. In other words,
Nobody
nobody
complained
made a
about
big
it
issue
until
about it.
recently.
Complained about until recently.
And then it brought it to light that it's not very business friendly, some of these aspects. So how
I've
can
been
we?
working on the bylaws since 2010,
Yeah.
and I made a lot of changes to the bylaws since 2010.
And that's through
Bob
the
has to
planning
enforce
committee,
complaints, so.
I see.
planning board. That's not through the EDC.
I see, so.
All we're
so-
trying to do is facilitate a better business relationship, a continuity within the bylaws.
Right, so obviously this needs to be more work done on it, because it hasn't been done.
That's why we want to get the
Since
towns.
2010 or whatever.
Right,
And this is 2019,
correct.
so that's a long way.
It's an uphill battle.
Right,
Thank you.
Okay,
So what I'd like to do is get those,
I'm gonna
Summarize those 5 towns to
I'm
make
gonna
sure
say
we
it
have
right
them
now.
correct.
Westboro, Shrewsbury, Millbury, Hudson, Northborough.
okay.
Those are the towns,
Good.
okay? So I'm gonna come back when John invites me again, and I will give you a report on those 5 towns.
Rick, I'm gonna, the business folks that are here, I think this is to a point where we might want to establish a bylaw committee
Oh, God, no.
within the businesses. not just the EDC here?
Is there any like regular, I'm not saying, but, you know, like, I'm sorry, people have like, I don't know if you ever heard of meetup.com or anything like that, where they have organizations where they get people together for a certain cause.
We have Chamber of Commerce's, we have business meetings.
Well, I mean, like
We
at the
don't.
at the town hall, would you ever think of having ongoing, once a month, on a certain day, to get all the businesses who want to show up in the area to have discussions about things? Just in
No.
general.
To your point, well, let's fast forward a little bit to, where is it? The meeting, not networking things, but where did I see it? We're having something coming up where businesses are gonna be invited to discuss TIFs and things like that. We're also having another meeting to discuss Shop Grafton and things like that. So that may not be exactly what she's talking about, but on that idea. So yes, we are reaching out to businesses, we are inviting businesses in to,
I mean, maybe a little less formal, like
That's what
less
I, yes,
formal.
yeah,
where
I
people
agree.
could
I agree with you,
have
Marcella.
conversations about just business and things in Grafton. It would just be about Grafton, Grafton residents, Grafton businesses,
I believe,
and something like this.
I-
That way you get more people, like he's
You know,
trying to get more
businesses
people.
can do that, but you have to be aware that a body such as this, now maybe not us so much, but planning board, finance committee, many of the other committees, there's something called open meeting law. And any time more than two of us are together and we are discussing something in our purview, we can be found technically in violation of open meeting law if we are not doing this at a meeting that was scheduled, posted with an agenda, and is being recorded, if not, you know, actual for playback, is being recorded by a secretary. Okay, so, again, business owners, if you want to start something, feel free. You guys can get together anytime you want, as long as you want, as often as you want. But if you're going to involve people from committees, we have to be careful. Okay, we may not be able to join you. Now, maybe that's a good way for all of you to come up with things and say, okay, let's call EDC now and go to one of their meetings. And now you can come in and we're, you know, in
Right, there's
compliance with the laws we have to be in
people
compliance with.
To come.
But you're welcome to do that.
I do believe that the town planner and either the town planner or the TA and the town planner do have some kind of a department head meeting or something to that effect downstairs.
Thursdays, 2:00.
Yeah, that's for
And-
projects.
but that's-
though. That's not what she's getting at, and I've actually had suggested we do a coffee and donuts, invite the local businesses in, and just talk, like you're saying, if there's anything that they wanna talk about regarding any kind of, I don't know, just meet and greet each other, and then conversations tend to just trickle around when people get together.
You need to form a local chamber of commerce is what you need. to
We
do.
don't
Yeah.
have one,
Well, I'm just saying, that's what she's talking about, is to
right,
have a
but
Grafton.
Grafton doesn't have any kind of
some kind of a
informal
Grafton
business group.
organization.
Or even
So I
get
thought
the, get the
EDC
younger
could
generation
do
here.
that.
They have they have great ideas.
All right, so we've gotten off topic here, okay? And I apologize, but I want to make sure I maintain the schedule of the meeting, if that's okay.
Yeah.
We're going to table the review sign bylaw
Okay.
scenario. We're going to go to any other matters that may legally come before the commission.
An update, the Grafton water rate is $4.80.
Gentlemen, thank you. Ladies, thank you.
Thank you.
Bob.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for coming, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marcella. Thanks, Edie.
Do I have your emails? Have you guys been on the email list? You getting stuff?
Yep.
All right. that's
Tom,
good.
thanks for coming. Edie, thank you. Marcella, thank you.
Are you all Marcel, are you getting you're getting emails from,
Yes,
I did
get the email for this meeting.
okay, good, great.
All
right.
What did I do with those water rates? I know I had them.
have yours now, so I'll
All right.
be in touch.
Nice meeting you.
Thanks,
I'll see you
Bob.
Next Thursday.
Thanks, Bob.
Bob, thank you.
Yes, you will.
Bye,
Thank
Bob.
you, Bob.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Okay, the water rate?
I had them,
For-
where'd they go?
We have a corporate and industrial water rate. It's $4.80 per 1,000 gallons.
Oh, we do.
But the thing about it, it's not posted on the website. It's not picked up anywhere, but I guess we've had it. And the Water Commission's going to update their website to reflect
There
that.
it is.
Oh, that's probably important to have.
That's very good.
Yes.
So how much was it?
Well, we thought it was,
Dollars
Half price,
and-
$4.80.
it's $9.90
Okay.
based on what they have on the website, but they had a $4.80 that was unposted.
Well, very
Okay.
good.
Much better.
Yes.
So now, now we're within the
The realm
ballpark of
of,
reasonable.
market reasonable,
You,
right?
is that something that you can,
I don't think it just lower their entry.
has
fee.
anybody ever inquired that you can now go back and say, hey, by the way,
I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna have to put out some sort of press release or something, just
oh, that's a
so
good idea.
that way, I don't know if the press is gonna be excited to post something like that, but at least if we put it on some sort of media.
Well, that's good work for you to dig into that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
And your stipend was approved by the town?
Yes.
I voted twice.
Thank you. Did you use two hands?
I did. I grabbed my
Really
wife's
often.
liquor.
What I was,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congrats.
what I was trying to get to before was, okay, in the last, and our minutes from the last meeting.
Right?
Yes.
The last paragraph, it says, EDC was informed of a planned lunch meeting October 24th at Tufts, talking about
Yeah.
tips and such as that. Okay, so that is similar to what she's talking about, having a networking.
Well, I
That's-
think
it's
two
totally
things.
different.
I think that Morgan and I have a difference of opinion. I'm very focused. It's like we have a meeting, we have an objective. I want to be able to check off the box that we met certain goals.
Right.
Okay.
Morgan's thing is, her goals is simply to get to know other business owners.
Okay.
And it's more of a chamber-type mentality.
Okay.
And the challenge we have is that we're covered by 3 chambers already. And given the turnout for this meeting, how it was broadcasted, I'm not sure if we're gonna get enough people to justify doing that, plus the amount of work involved.
Right.
I can't tell you, I'm only part-time, I'm 19
Yeah, I
hours a week.
understand that.
Which 3 chambers cover us, I'm curious?
Blackstone Valley, Worcester, and
Order 9.
Corridor 9.
And I don't, how many
I'll list
businesses in
Grafton
Grafton are actually members of
Right,
of
okay, I was
those?
just curious.
I'm not, I mean,
Yeah.
But you could be if you wanted to be.
yes, but I don't think that's necessary for just getting to know your Grafton businesses. I think it's informal, make some coffee, show up at the town hall.
What
Hey,
I
what
would,
are some of your,
what I would do, and I do think it's on you or somebody like you, is just go ahead and start it up informally. Say, hey, guys, on Thursdays, or every other Thursday, or every first and third Thursday, whatever, at this time, choose your place. And maybe it's round robin bringing refreshments. Maybe you decide to go to, a local place, go to the Beanery, or, Pub 122, or, you know what I'm saying, someplace that has space, reasonably priced, and
Rick
won't
actually
mind you
said he
sitting
would
there.
he would help me with that too.
Okay, for a couple of hours, and say, this is strictly we're gonna get together and talk, and I'll give you an example. I'm a member of the Democratic Town Committee. We have a formal meeting, a business meeting with an agenda and all of that, once a month.
Right.
Once a month, we have a coffee hour.
Right, that's
Okay,
it, that's all
on
I'm
a
looking
Saturday
for.
morning,
Yeah.
and we talk, and it's purely informal, and there's no minutes, no business is conducted, and we just yak.
Right.
And we love it, that's kind of our favorite thing, but again, that's totally separate from us. We are an official board of the town, and we've done the ethics training and the court, all the stuff we have to do. Go ahead and do it, just start it.
Right. And
And I might do that. It's just keeping a finger on the pulse of what's going on in town and what people's concerns are, and carving an hour out once a month is.
Yeah,
you know,
and if you do
reasonable.
that, your input will be incredibly welcomed by this committee, because you'll have that ear to the ground.
right.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody else has any other new, old business? John?
We're moving forward with the Grafton train station MBTA. Hopefully, we'll have signs up sometime next week. We're going to,
Survey?
for the survey, yes. So we're going to encourage people to take that survey. Key thing is really to understand their commute, what it's like getting to and from the train station, as well as get some insight into what is desired around the train station for development.
Right now, it's miserable.
What's
Because of
miserable?
all the traffic cops that are out there.
That's not that bad.
Is that new or?
All the construction.
Yeah, the
not that
construction on
bad.
Route
Well,
30.
yeah,
That's-
I bad timing.
Bad timing, that's right.
Because I should have said, before the construction began.
Yeah, that's right, how do you feel, yeah?
Well, the good thing about taking things at the worst time is it means when we do some improvements and we take it again in the future,
It'll look
we'll
better.
have nice numbers.
I mean, it's a necessary,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where you just do it, and I just happen to hit it wrong, I hit it wrong.
of course, I always say the shortest distance between 2 points in Massachusetts is under construction.
Yeah. Those barrels, that's our state flower.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, better than not having any roads.
Well, that's true.
And there are states where it's dirt roads.
Yep.
Anything else?
I think we're good.
Okay, gonna move to adjourn?
Second?
Second, third.
Third, fourth?
All in agreement?
Let's get out of here.
Hi.
I really